Yeah, it's true that the son is also the adaptation of one of my plays, as the father was, and they are part of a trilogy with the mother. It's not the same characters, it's not the same stories. It's, I would say, like a spiritual trilogy. There are some connections, some echoes, but this is stories that stand by themselves. Maybe what the common thing about these stories is that it's a way to explore, the how we deal with reality and pain and disease. I mean, mental illness mainly. In The Father, it was dementia mainly, and the strategy in terms of narrative was to try to put the audience in the brain of the main character, in the main character's brain, uh, in order to experience from the inside what it could mean to lose your bearings. Here, it was about telling the story of those people surrounding a young adolescent, Nicholas, 17 years old, that is going through a difficult moment, and what it means for the family around him, trying their best to help him without having the keys to open the right doors to help and save him.
Florian speaks so beautifully about his interest in sharing emotion as an artist, as a filmmaker and writer. And what's so incredible about being on this journey with him is that he casts from instinct. He's looking for something in us that we may or may not know is there yet, but discover through making the movie with him in some ways. But we know in our gut that we have to be part of this. And that's a very moving process already. And there's a poetry to that that's very rare in the casting process. And his trust innately in why we're right, I think in its own way is its preparation. Because we see in him that he knows there's something we have to discover about ourselves or our humanity or who we are as parents, as people, through this process. And that already is an amazing way to work and incredible because we didn't rehearse. And so we're discovering it in real time with no right or wrong answers, just like in How to Parent Nicholas, but just in the discovery of what it is to be in these circumstances. So for me, that was incredible.
Yeah, I agree with all of that. I've never had an experience like it. From the very first phone call I had with Florian, I felt his strength and his knowing more than me that I was right for the part. I had a knowing here that I needed to do it. I had no idea how I was going to do it or how it was going to transpire, but I felt his strength, which gave me courage. His instincts were to say to me, you have everything you need for this. You don't have to go miles outside of yourself. It's all there. Trust in the process, no rehearsal. Let's just leap off every day, literally leap off, with no idea how we're going to start, with no idea how we're going to end. I mean, I'm sure you had an idea maybe, but encouraged us to not have any sort of plans or to control the scene and just to trust in being with brilliant actors and the beautiful words and go with it. So I think Florian prepared me by making me feel confident enough to leap with no agenda.
We have to believe as audience that is going to work. This the story of a father who is doing everything to help his son, and even though sometimes we feel like he's blind, we need and we want to believe that maybe he's right, he's going to work. And that moment, the dancing scene, is when we feel like, yeah, maybe he was right. He's going to be joyful and we're good. And so we made the decision about what would be the music. The tricky thing is that the character was supposed to be a bad dancer, and the thing is that you need to be a very good dancer to pretend that you do not know how to dance, I think. But it was a very funny moment, especially because we did it like in one take. I mean, we did it several takes, but it was like no cut, no editing for that moment. So it was a way for the camera itself to dance with Hugh and with everyone. So it was a joyful moment, and we needed that at that time. I mean, the thing is that I'm so completely honestly, I'm so into the son still that there is no room for me to know anything else. It was such an incredible journey to share. I mean, because it was to tell that story was so important to me, and to do it with these amazing people was like a gift. And I gave all my heart doing it. We just completed the film, and we are about to present it to the audience tonight. And that's so meaningful because, as we say to start with, this is the real destination. So this is our rendezvous, and there is no other ideas.
I think the sort of what you might call the serious drama is a slightly endangered species because, there are small, modest, independent films, and then there are monster films, enormous $100 million films, and the area I'm used to working in, which is somewhere in between that, and it's straight drama, as it were. I think that's every time we make one is a sort of important statement that we should go on making them, because I think they are, they're not an inevitable. Yes. Well, the first thing I want to say is that Florian was very interested, I think, in sort of incurable problems, and when everybody involved in the film understands that that's what we're dealing with, it's very bonding, and it also gives you a kind of a sense of responsibility to get these very serious problems right, and to speak about them, since they're problems that affect so many millions of people, to speak about them seriously and just get it right. So that's really the principal endeavor of all of us, I think, when we were making the film. I mean, it's a weird thing about making films on extremely dark and depressing subjects, is that it actually engenders a great cheerfulness on the set. If you get it right, it doesn't bring people down. It makes them feel better, because a problem has been correctly identified, and to tell people the truth is always a thing.
And also maybe to make people feel and remember that we are all in the same boat, which is humanity in a way, and that there's a consolation here to remember that we are struggling with the same fears, and that's okay. And on this subject, mental illness, I felt that there was so much ignorance and so much shame and so much guilt around this, that I really wanted to face this story, not to shy away from it, and to open a conversation about it. And I think movie is the best way to build a mirror in which we can watch ourselves, question ourselves, in order to understand a bit who we are.